Hey there, friend, and welcome to the show. My name is Sarah Rusk, and I am the host of the Heythere Friend podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate the listen, friend. So today, I would like to talk about me, which is something that's kind of difficult for me to do. I'm not a very, hey, it's all about me kind of person. This episode is going to be a little bit longer than usual, but it'll be interesting. And I want you, my friend, to understand where I'm coming from with all my stories and my topics, because I've been through quite a bit of stuff, and it's, people have been through much worse than I have, and I'm not looking to score sympathy points from anybody. I just want you to know all the stuff that I've been through, and if you've been through anything similar, anything worse, anything better, but you can compare, I want you to know that you absolutely can make it through it, my friend. You can absolutely do it. If I'm able to do it with everything I've developed, my anxiety, depression, oh my gosh, then I absolutely think you can do it too. So I would like to start with, what does life mean to me? Life means so many different things to so many different people. You ask them, they can give you a one-worded answer, or they can write you a book. Mine is very simple. I essentially feel that life is meaningless. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's how we perceive it and how we think about it and what we do. There essentially is no right, no wrong. It's how we perceive it. And the meaning of life to me is whatever meaning I give it. So I love riding horses, I love taking pictures, I love helping people. The meaning of life for me might not just be one meaning, it might be multiple meanings. The meaning of life by taking my horse, making it to the Nationals Finals Rodeo and competing against all the best in barrel racing. That's the meaning of life for me, to be able to hold a world champion title. I love to read. The meaning of life is reading all the greatest books possible. But I think in my mind, the meaning of life is trying to love everybody as best as I can without casting judgment or trying not to say mean things, but just helping people when they need help, and not necessarily like going out to the soup kitchen and helping out that way, but people in everyday lives that, somebody cuts you off, instead of cursing them off, and just kind of being like, okay, you're obviously in a rush, go ahead. And trying to control my energy to not waste it on being angry, but to just enjoy life and not let the little things get to you, but also take the little things and make them great things. Something like that. The meaning of life, I feel, changes constantly. Just as I feel the body goes through changes, like I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, or even, last month. You change constantly. We're like phoenixes. We shed our feathers and we become somebody new, which is pretty cool. And then at the moment, the meaning of life is to help others with their potential. I use different medias. I'm a sports photographer, and I make videos at the end of the sports season for teams, and I put all the good clips together of all the teams, and they feel so great about themselves, and all the parents are like, yeah, that's awesome. Then I get hired to more teams, and it's great seeing the reaction of the kids and how they're all like, wow, that's so cool, I didn't know I could do that. And they're able to see themselves from a different perspective than what they see out of their own eyes, and it's pretty cool. I've got this podcast. I hope that I'm helping people to spread the positive message, spread my light everywhere, and in hopes that if somebody likes this, they spread it to a friend and it helps them and it grows. And maybe I inspire somebody else to make their own podcast or write a book or do something to help better their life. That's my ultimate goal with this podcast for sure. And I soon hope to write my own book. I'm reading a great book by Hannah Hart called Buffering. It's about her life, and it's just, oh my gosh, from the get-go, it's such a good book. Yeah, I love public speaking. I think it's a lot of fun. Maybe I'll become the next Tony Robbins or Mike Dooley. I love Mike Dooley. If you have an email account or something similar, go to tut.com and sign up for the notes from the universe. They're great. I love getting them every single day. They're so cool. Now, friend, I ask you this. Take a second and think to yourself, what do you think your life's purpose is? Are you in college? Are you in high school? Do you work a 9 to 5 and you're just like, oh my gosh, I hate my life, I hate everything? Are you with people that you don't really jive with? Or are you loving your life? Are you where you want to be? Are all your goals starting to play out for you? Is that what life means to you? Having the friends, having the relationship, having the money. That's the cool thing about life. It's a choose your own adventure book. And segues into my next topic is this is your story as this is mine. I'm telling my story and you're telling yours, and you have the power to choose what happens next. It's wonderful. I can change it if I want to. Just like a classic example, you're watching TV, your favorite TV show ends, or you want to watch something different than what you're watching. You can just get up or use the remote or use your smartphone, because apparently that's a thing now, and change the channel. And you change it to whatever channel you want to change it to. Simple as that. Or so we think. And same thing with music. If you're listening to a song and you don't feel like listening to it anymore, you want to listen to something different, change the song. Some people shut it off altogether, and that's okay too. So life is essentially, like I had said before, like a choose your own adventure book. You remember those books? You are the hero/heroine of your story, minus the tinfoil hats and not having a princess to save in some occasions. My name means princess in Hebrew, which is kind of funny if I consider myself the hero/heroine, and the princess is essentially saving herself. That's kind of how I feel most of the time. I don't need anybody to save me. I need to look after and take care of myself, so that way then I can save others. Ha. Now, who am I? I'm going to break this down into 3 parts. Who I was, who I am, and who I hope to be. Who I was. Like I had mentioned before, I'm a phoenix. I'm so different than I was. Oh my gosh. I thinking back the memories and trying not to feel embarrassed about how I acted and how I felt, because it was important to me at the time. And I'm sure you felt like that too, friend, where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that to that person, and I can't believe I did that to them, or I can't believe I didn't do that. That's who you were. You have to honor it and just carry on and not make that mistake in the future. Your past is just your past, and that's all there is to it. We grow, we change into new people. Like, I haven't seen a friend of mine. It's been 2 years. Not really that long of time, but it was long enough. And I hadn't seen him in 2 years, and I was like, wow, he's totally different than before. He's not the same person at all that he was. His mannerisms were different. He got his hair. You looked overall older and different, and I was like, wow, it's amazing what 2 years can do. And I'm sure he said the same thing about me. I mean, my hair got a little bit longer, still red. Hopefully I lost a little bit of weight, but that's how it goes. And it's cool to not be the same person. I'd like to think that I've gotten wiser and better with dealing with things. You know, it's a process, life's a journey, but who's to say what's better, what's good anyway? Do we have to conform to society's norms? Like, what is the norm? And in my opinion, I feel the norm or normal is what you tag it to be. When I was younger, I was super shy, super quiet, and extremely introverted. Worse than I am now, believe it or not. When I would go to family functions or parties or something and my mom was there, I'd hide behind her just because it was difficult for me to interact with other people. And to be honest, I don't know why. I mean, I was a cute little kid when I was super young, around like 4 or 5. So I don't know what my problem was. As I got a little bit older into grade school, I started having issues with my dad and friends, and it kind of happened all at once. I remember I was in 6th grade and the second Harry Potter movie came out, and my friends were like, oh yeah, we're gonna go see it, we'll call you, whatever, when we're gonna go. And I was like, okay, cool. And I called them that night to be like, hey, when are you guys going? And they're like, oh, well, we went already. I was like, okay, great. That stuck with me, and I'm taking it as a life lesson and carrying on. I had pranks pulled on me, which were not fun. So a little bit about my history. My dad was an abusive alcoholic. I remember in the 3rd grade, I went to Catholic school, and I had prayed for his illness, and my teacher had pulled me aside, and she was like, well, what's going on with your dad? What's up? And I was like, oh, my mom says he's an alcoholic, and he's got alcoholism. And I'm in 3rd grade. I have no idea what I'm saying. I'm just repeating what the big kids are saying. And they put me in therapy, and I'm still in therapy. It's kind of still going, but it just progressively got worse. You could actually see in my elementary school pictures how I progressively got chunkier and chunkier. I went from being on the honor roll in school to barely skating by with a C in most of my classes because my home life just got so much worse. And I remember it got really bad one night. I think I was in 6th grade again, and I was going to a neighbor of mine's party. He had moved, and I was going to go. It was his birthday. And that night, My grandmother, who lived in the house with me, she said, "I hope you have a great time." My dad had been drinking a lot, and he started yelling at her. And then he went back upstairs, and my mom and I got in the car to leave, and he was screaming at her, and we heard it from outside. So my mom called the cops, and he was arrested. I remember why I was at it. I ran to my neighbor's house, and I watched the whole thing unfold. I watched him get put into the cop car, and just how scary it was, and not knowing what was going to happen next. And I had no idea what was going on. I also found out that night at the party that I was going to, I was going to have a prank pulled on me by my friends that were there. So it kind of would have just gotten worse. I used to be called names. Like I said, I was kind of chunky. I didn't really take very good care of myself because I just didn't know. I was also not very good at sports. I did not have a niche or however you pronounce it. I had books. I got into those when I was really young. My mom used to tease me. She's like, "Oh, we're going to Barnes & Noble, but you can only pick out one book." And I'd find like three. I'm like, "Please, could I get them?" And she'd be like, "All right, fine." And that's how that started. And now my room is just literally head to toe covered in books. I also remember in 6th grade being introduced to my first band that escalated me to just loving music so much. My friends were talking about Good Charlotte. They had said that their second CD had just come out, and I remember it was a couple of days after my dad had gotten arrested. We went to the Target in Hillsborough, and I got the CD, and I had my Walkman with me, and I listened to that CD I burnt it out. I loved it so much, and I still do. And then it escalated from Good Charlotte to Green Day, and then Panic at the Disco, and then Fall Out Boy, and then just so on, and it led me to be the little pop punk self that I am now. It's great. Like I had said, I was not very good at sports. I was a cheerleader for a year. It was horrible. I hated ballet. It wasn't my style. I did basketball for a while. I was okay. And then again around like 5th grade, 6th grade, I got into horses. And I was like, all right, whatever, horses, cool, we'll give it a try. And I had the option to show for many years, and I didn't. I just helped out at the horse shows. And then I finally showed, and I remember the first show I got champion of my division on this cool little pony named Jeep, and I was crying because I was so happy. I've never won a championship like that before in my life. And granted, it was just a little schooling show, and it was nothing major, but it was everything to me. And then from there on, I got better. I got my own horse. I was barrel racing champion in 4-H. I was Western champion for the end of the year shows. I was the English champion for a while for certain things. It was really cool. And I felt like I had a purpose in life. I was feeling great about myself. I lost a little bit of weight, and it felt amazing. And then we get to high school, and this is where the fun starts. My dad was still, he was arrested. He eventually came back, I think a couple of months later, around like January. And things, you'd think they got better. He went through AA and everything, but it went back to the same. And if anything, it just progressively got worse. But I just learned to become more numb to it and ignore it. And I never really talked about it. I never labeled myself as that girl, which was difficult because I'd come into school and people would be like, "Oh, good morning, Sarah." And I'd be like, "Oh, what's so good about it?" It was difficult to explain to people why I felt this way. But when I got to high school, my sophomore year, I read The Secret. And it changed my life, essentially. Like, you hear these stories all the time. Like, "Oh, I read The Secret. It was the best book ever." And it's not the best book ever, but it got me started on my enlightenment process to realizing there's more to life than what I had. And it was cool. I got really cool friends. I was in a band. I was a chick drummer in a band with all guys. And they were all my best friends. And it was so much fun. We had a great time. And this was also at a time where I found this horse named Braveheart, and I really wanted him. Me and him, we just had this connection. And he wasn't mine, and I used the power of positive thinking to eventually make him mine, and it worked. It was awesome. And, sophomore year was great. Junior year was okay. And then we hit senior year, and everything turned upside down. The band I was in, we were just kind of, more people were coming in, more people were leaving. It was getting weird. I wasn't communicating well. I mean, I'm in a band with all guys, and we were teenagers. That's just how it goes. My best girlfriend was dating my best guy friend, who he was in the band with me, and I did not handle it well at all. And that's essentially where my downfall really started to happen. That's where I really started to plummet. And I was mad, and they were perfect for each other. These two cute little emo kids. Like, of course, it was bound to happen at some point. And it did. And The band still kind of stayed together for a while after that, and eventually me and her patched things up a little bit. But I kind of hope that if this happened now, I would have been able to have handled it a lot better and just kind of given it my blessing and carried on, and whatever happens, happens. I got news that the barn that I had been working at for well over like 6 or 7 years was shutting down. And at that moment, I did not own Braveheart, and the original owner could have come back and taken him. So I had to take action. And I graduated high school with a 2.4 GPA because I was loving having a social life, and I was loving being able to hide out in the band room and not go to class. And I would do everything again the same exact way in a heartbeat. Now, when I finally got a little bit more freedom when I hit college, I went to Middlesex County College, and it was the best thing I ever could have done. I got my associates in commercial photography. I had great professors, some of them that I still actually talk to today and I help out, do photo shoots with. It was so much fun. I graduated there with a 3.5 GPA, and I got into an honor society, the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and I honestly never thought that my stupid little self would have been able to have accomplished something like that. And you could think like, oh, it's just a community college. Well, it also meant everything to me at the time because I was able to accomplish something. And believe it or not, my first ever photography class, I got a C in it, and my professor was just like, I don't know why you're in photography. I don't know why you're even still trying. And now I have a very successful photography business. Now, after I graduated from Middlesex, I had a couple of huge things happen to me. For one, my dad passed away. I was going to a horse show, and I had gotten a call at 6:30 in the morning saying that my dad had passed out in the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm sure he's fine. The person who was taking me to the horse show was a nurse practitioner, and we got to my house, and she was doing CPR, and she came downstairs and she was shaking her head, and she's just like, I don't know. And the worst part is, yeah, he was my dad, but I was hopeful that it was the end, and that all the suffering that my family had gone through finally would have ended, and it turns out it did. He died in the bathroom. I couldn't go into that bathroom for a while. I didn't live in my house for a couple of weeks because it was just really weird and hard to be in the house, and just the nightmares that followed. I still have nightmares of him coming back, and he had a truck and we sold it. We got a new truck, and he was a hoarder, and we threw out a lot of his things, and just the nightmares of him coming back and being like, oh my gosh, where's all my stuff? And being threatened and being hurt, and just and in the dreams themselves, I think to myself constantly, like, you're not supposed to be here. When are you supposed to die? And it's a horrible thing to think and to go through, but alcoholism is a monster. And it's something I'm definitely going to talk about later on in a different episode. But again, background stuff, yay. So we went through all that, and I started Rutgers. It was my first semester. I still remember it to this day. I got a job working at a gas station, which it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of good lessons from there. And I had worked a long shift. I got up early. I had coffee. I was sitting in the classroom. It was around like 8:30 at night. We were watching a movie. All of a sudden, my heart started racing and everything started getting blurry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck's going on? And I was just panicking. I'm like, oh my God, like, what, am I having a heart attack? What's up? And I've passed out before. I got my ears pierced, passed right out. Spacers for my braces, passed right out. I don't handle pain very well. So I'm like, oh, what the heck's going on? After that night, my life kind of changed. That's when I discovered that I had anxiety. It was horrible, and it's still something that I'm coping with now. You know, it actually got so bad to the point where I had to suck it up for one more semester at Rutgers because I was enrolled and everything. And eventually I stopped going there, and I went to DeVry and took online classes. And it was a really good move for me. I got into an honor society, the Sigma Alpha Phi Honor Society, and I graduated with a 3.89 GPA with a bachelor's in small business management. I mean, if anything, it was a move for the better, but having the anxiety, oh my gosh, it was a nightmare, and it still is kind of a nightmare. In between that, I worked at a gas station. Like I had said, I became a gas attendant, and then I became a manager, and then the head manager, and I had to do scheduling and everything, and it got to be a lot. It was fun. I learned a lot, but it was a lot. And I transferred from that. I used to work with a contractor who built custom railings and stairs for clients, and so I was a carpenter for a little while. It was pretty cool. I worked at a dressage barn, which was nice, but too far, and I had to wake up way too early. And then eventually I was a pooper scooper, and I picked up dog poop for almost a year, and it was great because I got to listen to podcasts, and I was outside. It was cool. And in between, I was doing my photography stuff. Now, I'm telling you all of these stories just to show that life has so many ups and downs, and I have learned so much from them. And it took me a while to understand why I was going through this. Some people believe that when you're born, you choose your parents. Like, why would I choose someone that slapped me in the face and permanently messed up my left eye? Why would I choose someone that told me that I was worthless and would never amount to anything? Why would I choose someone that made it difficult to be around men and also triggers me when people start to yell? I've learned with different ways on how to deal with situations and to not get myself upset and how to keep myself in control. And I'm okay with that. I love my life now. So the present me, I am lost. I love my life and I am lost, and that's okay. I'm not sure what direction my life is going in. It sucks because I need a full-time job. I've got car insurance. Braveheart has medical expenses that from a couple of years ago that I have to still pay off. I've got student loans that I'm going to have to pay off soon too. And I need a full-time job. I'm going to be 26 in 2 years and I need benefits, but the problem is I don't want to be here. I've got such a strong pull to live in California. And I don't know where this desire has come from. I've never been to California, but I feel like I need to be there. It's such a strong feeling. And I've got no plans. Just a feeling. And it's really funny. And I'm just going to go with it. I've spent my life thinking and thinking and thinking and not just doing. So I'm just going to do. I'm going to save up, potentially, hopefully get an apartment somewhere. And I want to go to Norco, California, because the Horsetown, USA. So cool. And if I don't like it there, then I can choose to come back to New Jersey, or I can go someplace else, because that's how life works. I have my photography business that I do on the side, and it's pretty cool. It actually started off as a favor I did for my sister's basketball team. I donated my time, and I made a video for them at the end of the year, and everybody loved it. And the high school, JP Stevens picked me up, and I started doing it for the football team, and then it grew to the baseball team, and then the softball team, and now lacrosse. And it's just so cool to see how far I've come with it. And I taught myself how to do all the video stuff. I believe that if you want to do it, there's a will, there's a way. You could do anything you put your mind to, my friend, always. You never know what's going to happen. Like, let's talk about friends. My high school friends, I don't talk to any of them anymore. College hit, I lost a lot of them. I had a lot of really cool work friends that I met at the gas station. I lost them too, which sucks because they got me through a lot of really hard times. People come into your life for different points. The friends that I have now are awesome. I've got my friend Angie. I've known her since she was 10. She's an amazing girl and just super talented. A long time ago, she was this little annoying kid that was afraid to get on the most docile of horses, and everyone just kind of pushed her aside and stuff. And I always made sure to be nice. I try to always be nice to everybody if I can. And I never thought that we'd be so close. And when Braveheart got sick 2 years ago, she's the first person I called. I'm like, oh my God, they told me that I might need to put him down. I don't know what to do. I kept her posted through everything. She's like, let me know what I could do. She gave up a job interview to come and take care of my horse so I can finish working. Like, what an amazing person. And I remember when I had to trailer him to the horse hospital, I was having a huge panic attack in the middle of the Wegmans parking lot. And I'm like, I looked at her and I'm like, Angie, do you know how to drive a horse trailer? And she was like, no. And I'm like, you're gonna learn now. I was so scared that Braveheart died in the back of my trailer and that we weren't going to make it. I was going to have a massive panic attack and just pass out while driving. It didn't happen. We made it. I wound up trailering over there. But oh my gosh, it's so nice to have such great people in your life. And my friend Skylar, there's a huge age gap between the two of us. I took pictures of her. She was in 6th grade. My sister was in 8th grade. And she's this funky little kid. The way she runs on the court, it's really funny. There's a 10-year age difference between the two of us. And it's so cool because I feel like if I was in high school again, me and her would be best friends. We have so many similarities. And she's just such a down-to-earth and cool person. And a quick shout out to Skylar. Hi, Skylar. You're a super awesome, amazing person, and I appreciate you so much. And she's so driven and so passionate about what she's into, and she's in the JROTC, and she's all like, I am this, and I'm that, and I studied this, and I know that. And I'm like, oh my God, Skylar, you're so brilliant. It's so funny. And it's refreshing to see kids or young adults being like this, and I'm honored to be her best friend. So thank you, Skylar. Now, the future me, I hope to be in California, maybe somewhere in SoCal, maybe Norco, California, and if not, that's okay. Wherever the wind takes me is where I will go. My goal would be to open up a cafe shop that sells tea, coffee as well, essential oils, crystals. They offer yoga and meditation classes, and at night be a place for up-and-coming bands to gig and get their start. That would be just the ultimate for me. I aspire to do that, and I'm not gonna let anything get me down. I don't care if I'm in my 60s and just making it over there. If I'm in my 60s and just opening this place, cool, good for me. I had the drive and the passion to keep going in what I wanted to do. That's awesome. I would love to be a public speaker. I would love to go out and motivate people to keep living their life and enjoy it, that everything's okay, everything's gonna be okay. To enlighten and empower you, my friend, people similar to us that want to stay positive and keep positive. Maybe I'll go out and I'll rodeo. I'll get myself a nice little fast quarter horse, and maybe I'll make it over to the NFR. That would be really cool. The future, I believe, will write itself. And I just have to keep living it and know that I will get what I need. I always believe that I will get what I need. And even if it looks like crap at the present moment, I will just go with it. It could be the worst situation possible. I will just go with it. And I know that even though I feel lost and sometimes afraid of the future, I know everything will work out how it needs to. Right in this moment, I am as good as I am. And so are you. In this very moment, you can have so much going on, despite what you may think and what others might tell you. You just need to feel like you are okay right now. Just keep your head above and swim. And then your story will start to change accordingly. Remember, you're the hero of your story. You can go to choose to save the princess, or you can go to Starbucks and get coffee. That's totally your call. That's the beauty of life. This is your story. How are you going to tell it, friend? Now, I'm going to start to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I swear this is as depressing and sad as it's going to get for a while. We're going to start to talk about better things. Next week, we're going to talk about anxiety. Yay! I will be back next Monday with another episode. Please leave feedback on iTunes. So if you enjoyed the podcast, you can spread it so other people can see. Please leave your feedback if you thought it was good. If you have any constructive criticism, that's awesome. I have an email now for anybody who has a topic or a question that they would like to submit or have me talk about. The email is heytherefriendpodcast@gmail.com. Sweet, simple, to the point. I also have a Twitter, which is pretty awesome. I need to update. The handle is @heytherepodcast. And I also have a Facebook page, which I also need to update. It's facebook.com/heytherefriendpodcast. If this has inspired you, if this podcast has inspired you in any way, I would love to hear about it. Or if you've heard, read, or listened to anything that has inspired you, I also would like to know. I would love to start a conversation with you, friend. I think that would be so awesome. Now, I do this show because I know what it feels like to be stuck and to not know what to do or who to speak with. And my hope is that I have helped at least one person who has listened to the show. Something that I have said, at least one thing that I have said, I hope that it has helped you and you carry it with you and you apply it to your life. And that's what makes all of this worthwhile to me, is to be able to give back to the people who I've read their books, they've talked to me, I've heard their podcasts, to give and spread my light to help lighten up your life. And if this show has helped you out in any way, please share it with a friend and maybe it'll inspire them. Who knows what could happen. Now go out and keep telling and creating your story. Say the words you find truest to yourself, or make up new ones, because that's okay. Just promise me you'll keep singing. Okay, friend?